Okay, Static Hero here, and today I'm gonna do a exotic review of Red Death, the pulse rifle. First thing first, let's go through the stats. Okay, the rate of fire is less than ideal in general. The impact is fairly decent for pulse rifles anyway. The range is bad, really bad. Except with certain upgrades, it can be increased. The stability is actually surprisingly decent, even though it appears to be very little. And the reload speed is generally very nice. So and the magazine is 27. So the damage is kinetic. And let's look at the first line of upgrades. Accurized ballistics, more range and impact, increased recoil. Field choke, more range and impact, increased recoil. The difference is very minimal between these two. This has less stability, but more range, slightly more range. This has, less range and more stability. And then there's also aggressive ballistics, which will decrease your range. It's more predictable recoil, enhanced impact, shorter range, and more recoil. I personally used aggressive ballistics for a while because I always like more predictable recoil. I think it's one of the best things to have, so you can actually predict the recoil and compensate for it accordingly. But recently I have been using field choke because it is, it's because you need the range on Red Death. It's one of the stats you should have for it. Now let's go to unflinching. Unflinching is the first permanent upgrade. It's easier to aim under fire using this weapon, and I'd say this is very effective. It's great, amazing. I wouldn't even doubt not having this perk. It's a good perk to have on any weapon, nonetheless. Upgrade damage. Snapshot. Aiming this weapon is incredibly fast. I believe it's about 30% faster. High caliber rounds. Oversized rounds built to stagger targets and leave them reeling. Their mass makes a weapon harder to handle. More flinch. Longer reload. And certain stuff like that. Or whatever handling is. And single point sling. Switch weapons faster, move quicker while aiming. Okay, now let's get on to the Red Death perk. Each kill heals you and speeds up reloads. A very nice perk, especially in PvE, since there's so many things to kill. Just kill, immediately get a big health boost, free reload. Great to have. Now let's get into what Red Death is good at. So Red Death is mainly good at mid-range duels, and by duels I mean two people they would both see each other at about the same time. Red Death gives you a bunch of different things at your disposal to make sure that to give you a high probability of winning that duel. For example, somewhat decent range, to say the least. The recoil is pretty much non-existent. No flinch, pretty much. It's like angry for you, and that's really good. That means flinch won't get in the way. I personally think it's a great weapon, especially when fighting. And then snapshot. That means when two people would face off, you could scope and then start shooting quicker than, say, the other person. High caliber rounds. This is ideally the best one in this line, and when you're dueling, you can cause them to miss more shots, which will guarantee you a higher chance of you winning said duel. And single point sling, I think this is actually fairly useful. I normally use Red Death with a shotgun, so what I do is I would shoot a person at long range. When someone gets close, I'd quickly swap and kill the person at the close range. I think it's very decent at dueling in general, except there are Osiris Regime is pretty much one of the only weapons that will beat you, and that's for obvious reasons. The last word will beat you at close range. At long range, you'll probably beat it if you're a good shot. But generally, I'd say this is a really good weapon. It's great at mid-range. At long range, it's pretty decent as well. A couple bursts and they're dead. And it makes it excellent to land repeat headshots, and among others. So if well, it was only available for 1 week from Xur. If it ever does come on sale again, I would recommend buying it since it's such a decent weapon. And now I'm showing you some clips from PvP. Okay, here, that is right down to the line. I almost lose it. And this one I lose because I'm a bit too close. But I might have been able to do it. As you see, good bursts with this weapon are extremely powerful, killing over half their health. And this is one of the best things about it. Mind you, here I end up messing up because I tried to show you that it's not effective at close range. And here I get a good burst off. As you can see, the first shot did quite a bit of damage. And there's always a possibility of 2-shot burst. There, if I had crouched, I probably could have survived that. And for this clip, there's that door leg. But here, first thing I do is use my super because I think the person is close enough for me to hit. The person isn't. But I end up using at close range, showing you that can be kind of effective, but in most situations it isn't.
Show them the true
So you
meaning
want
of
to
war.
be scoping. And I also, it's possible to use it effectively if you know what you're doing, but it's a high skill cap weapon.
Zone A, secure.
Very effective if you have good aim. There, I don't think I could have done much better. Maybe if I was a perfect shot, then I could have gotten the kill. But most of the time when I die, it's probably because I'm a bad shot in general. I believe I'm using the one that caused this flinch. There, I started shooting late, and I lost the fight, obviously. This next fight, I lose because I'm too close. Generally, you want distance. Distance is your ally with Red Death. I've killed snipers when they've been sniping me, since Red Death makes a very difficult shot for those people. Not fun if you're sniping and somebody uses Red Death. There I die as I throw the grenade. And this has been my review of Red Death pre-buff. And how they can buff it is probably to add a higher rate of fire. And remember to subscribe.